Okay, this is learning module 7, and first things first, I'm actually going to go through the code. So right here, I'm setting up my data values for the 7 seg and putting into SRAM. I'm resetting the X pointer back to where it originally started. That way I can add the counter to it as an offset. The R18 is the counter. The Y pointer is for pointing to where the password is stored in SRAM. And R17 is going to be my password input register. This is to set the data direction. I have the B port to be completely output, and D port to have pin D2 and 3 to be input. Right here, I initialize the 7 seg with the 0. That way I know. It's not just jumping down the code, which unfortunately it is, and I'll show that later. This is going to check if I've entered the correct amount of inputs, so it's not going to check the password until I've entered 4 inputs in total, 0, 1, 2, and 3. This is to check if pin D2 is pressed, let's check if pin D3 is pressed, and this just loops infinitely. For one input, I'm going to increment my input counter. I'm going to display the 7 seg for the counter. So for the first press, it's going to show up as 1. Second press is going to show up as 2 on the 7 seg. And the third press is going to show up as 3. And then right here is inserting 1 into the password input using the, rotating left with carry. That's right. And then we're going to go to our jump delay, so buttons don't do bad stuff for us. And then we're going to go back to the main, and once we include the correct amount of inputs, we're going to check the password. And we're going to do this by loading the password from SRAM back into our register, and then we're going to compare that with our inputted password. If it's the wrong password, it will branch. Yeah, if it's a wrong password, if these two values don't equal, it's going to branch to the wrong password loop, and it's going to continuously show the 7 seg to show nothing, which is what it's doing right now, even though I haven't input anything. But if it's the correct password, it's going to skip this, and it's going to go straight to the right password, and it's going to show up as only the decimal point being lit up, and this is going to infinite loop. Currently, I don't have any way to reset this, but yeah, and unless these two don't jump, it will go back to main, and then it will just go back to check password, and maybe it'll work. But the issue now is, so let's say I create the text file, and then I'm going to program it. And it shows up as nothing, as if it's the wrong password. And if I press any buttons, it's going to do nothing because it's most likely in the wrong password loop. Now the issue I'm having with this though is the fact that if I go to the simulator and if I create a breakpoint to where it checks right there, and I'm gonna run, and then we're at where it's gonna check the counter. Now if I step through this, it will check, it won't go because it's not equal. It's going to skip this, which makes sense. It's going to skip this, which makes sense. And it's going to infinitely loop. Now let's say I get my port over here. And then I set port D to be, for pin D to be 1. Now, when we step through this will go to the R jump, which makes perfect sense. And then it will do the stuff over here. It will go through the entire thing, and then I'll wait till it gets to And then right here, let's look at R17. It changed to 1. Okay, that's perfect. It'll go to delay and it'll go back to the main loop. The issue is, this is working fine, the simulator. This is not working fine on my board. I don't know what to do about it. That's all.